Recording and head off. Hi everyone. Um, the Welcome back to part 6 of Frodo's journey, and we have my little hobbit here. He's running down towards the last homely house east of the sea, and this is where Elrond lives. In the books, the Frodo arrived at Elrond's house pretty much unconscious from his attack by the ringwraiths, and Elrond got out his healing powers and fixed him up, got him back on his feet, and so the party stayed in Rivendell for quite a few days. The other thing that happened was that the Elrond and Gandalf sent out riders around the whole area around Rivendell to see what had happened to the Black Riders. And in fact, there's an interesting little subplot, part of the epic quest in Lotro, Lord of the Rings Online, has you hunting for one of these Black Riders. Because a rumour was heard of one in the Trollshaws, and that's a major part of the epic quest, one of the chapters. There's somebody coming the other way. So we're at the bridge of Rivendell. We can have a quick look up here. Look at that lovely view of the valley from the bottom here. And we'll have a little tour around Rivendell because, as I say, the party stayed here for quite a while, although there are some funny things that happen in this place sometimes when we go into Elrond's house. In fact, when I start the game in Elrond's house, sometimes the colours go very wonky. But it seems to be only when you start up the game, but we'll see. Stable masters are very handy for getting around the place, but we're walking like good fellowship people. Now, so far we haven't got a fellowship. Only the 4 hobbits and Aragorn arrived in Rivendell together. Gandalf, who should have been with them, arrives here separately, and then of course the rest of the fellowship turn up, and we'll go around and we'll see if we can find them all before we move on with our journey. Here's the last homely house, and we're going to pop in and say hello to Elrond first, and then we'll have a look around the house. It's always good manners to announce yourself to your host. And he lives up in the library in the game. And so we'll pop around here. And this is the library. And there's an interesting little stairwell here. I keep falling off it when I come here, because you go around this corner and it used to be an immediate turn, but they've redone this. They've redone this graphic rendering for Elrond's house, and I quite often fall down that little gap. So anyway, here's Elrond. Hi Elrond, how are you? Is he going to say anything? No, he's not. Okay, so that's kind of funky and cool. He's there. This is the library. Not a lot to see here, but if you're a crafter, scholar crafter, then you can do stuff in here. And the Scholars Guild is just next door, as you would expect. It's in Rivendell. So there's the guild house for the scholars. No, it's the one downstairs. Let's go downstairs. And so the Scholars Guild is in here. We can pop in and have a look, but we can't do very much because we're not a scholar. There's a couple of scholars, you see, lurking about the place. They all seem to be dressed as Aragorn, which is odd. But anyway, what's that guy? Oh, we don't know. We haven't got the overlay on. All right, so we'll leave them to it. They're scholaring. It's good. Learning is always good. We can go out and have a look at the back porch of the house, where, excuse me, everyone, and we'll go and have a look at the back porch where we see the waterfall. A little balcony, a little resting place. It's probably quite damp here. Quite surprised there's no moss on the path here, and of course the wall wasn't really designed for hobbits to look over. Anyway. And in various other parts we have this is a feature of the game where we have legendary weapons, the word horde of somebody or other, I think it's called. The archive of traceries, it's called. Okay, so there's various things here for fixing up your weapons, powering up your weapons. And it's a little bit like, I think the weapons now essentially carry traceries, they call them. It's a bit complicated. They switched it from a previous system, which was just jewels and runes and things, but it's all a bit too complicated. All right, so if you're hanging about in Elrond's house, you go in here, which is the Hall of Fire. Oh, it's changed a bit since I was last here. And you can have a wander around. Now, while we're walking around Elrond's house, there we'll have a warming by the fire. As we're walking around Elrond's house, I wanted to talk to you about the orcs in Tolkien's works, because orcs are kind of Tolkien has them as black creatures, and maybe that's to in an old-fashioned way to indicate evil or whatever, and it's probably not acceptable nowadays to use the word black to indicate evil. Whose room is this? Learden's room? Ah, yeah, okay. He turns up in a different quest. But it got me thinking, actually, that that would have to be the only reason, because if you think about it, the organisms that live in the dark are not black, they're white. Don't know what this room is. Looks like the meeting room for the Council of Elrond, perhaps. Looks like this is where the Council of Elrond would probably have been held. I don't remember ever being in here before. There you go. It's interesting. Is there a way out the back? No. Okay. And then we'll go and see if anybody's in the Hobbit guest room. Which is just here. And we might meet some of our fellowship. We'll have a look. There's... Oh, we'll have to turn on the... who's this? Peregrine, Meriadoc, Sam. No sign of Frodo. I think he used to be out in the steppe. There's Frodo now. There's an interesting thing that happens here. You'll notice that up at the top I get one dread of Frodo. This is because he's carrying the ring, so you get a feeling of the ring on him. And if we talk to Gandalf, he kind of cancels it out, because there's one hope if you talk to Gandalf. But there's Gandalf, there's Frodo, the rest of the hobbits are in here. And so what we need to do is go and find the rest of the fellowship, so we can get them all gathered together for our trip. What was I talking about? Oh yes, the orcs. So the orcs are in Tolkien's works, they're black. They are described as black, and the goblins are black, and everything that lives underground is black. But in fact, if you think about it, everything that lives underground is actually white. Things that don't see the sun are white, not black. And I wonder how effective it would have been for Tolkien to use pale white creatures. For example, Gollum in the book is a pale white creature because he's lived under the ground so much, and so he's become a very pale creature. But the orcs themselves end up being black, and that it doesn't really hang with the natural order of things. But when Tolkien was writing, I guess evil was associated with the color black, and we don't think that way anymore. So there you go. Interesting one. We're heading for the guest house, where we should find... It looks like we're going back the way we came, but we should find at the guest house, we should find Legolas and Gimli and Aragorn. And then we have to track down Boromir, who's always doing his own thing, because he's kind of a weird guy, as you may have noticed from the books, the movies, etc. The other thing I'd like to talk about, probably while we're here, is the elves. Because the first time we encounter elves in The Hobbit, the elves of Rivendell are all kind of happy-go-lucky, almost insanely happy characters. They're all singing as Bilbo walks down into the valley, and they're making fun of the dwarfs. And of course, it's a children's story, so the elves. Speaking of an elf, here's Legolas. We'll just turn off this because it's a bit easier to tell these guys apart. He's an elf. He's a dwarf, and that's Gimli. How's Gimli? Nice to see you. And in here we have Aragorn. Aragorn's got himself a big table with maps. He's checking out the route that we're going to take. So let's go and see if we can find Boromir. He's usually lurking up somewhere towards the Misty Mountains. We're going to go this way. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of a tour of Rivendell as we go. This is the valley, and we're going to head over to the stables. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, yeah, these elves. So, and then in The Lord of the Rings, the book, they're well, they're not exactly happy, and they're not exactly miserable. They're very fatalistic, but they're not old misery guts or anything. They tend to be rather realistic about the future of Middle Earth and what it means when the rings lose their power. In fact, they're not actually sure what happens to the rings, and it's never really made clear. There are a couple of theories. Galadriel has the idea that the rings will lose their power to preserve the elven kingdoms, and so when the One Ring, I'm going to just turn off that air conditioner. Hang on a second. When the One Ring is destroyed, she feels that the 3 elven rings are going to fail as well. So others seem to think that the rings may go on without the One Ring because Sauron never touched the 3 elven rings. So, of course, the Rings of Power has totally lost the plot in terms of the ring story, but that's the way it is, I suppose. Well, that's the stables of Elrond, and now we're heading back across the stream. There's another waterfall here coming down from the mountains. We cannot see it from here exactly. And as usual, all the handrails are a bit high for a hobbit. But we're heading up here to see if we can find... we'll not bother going down there. See if we can find Boromir. Complete our meeting up with all of the Fellowship. So anyway, in the movies, Peter Jackson's movies, the elves are absolutely miserable. They seem to go around everywhere with a big frown on their face, and they hardly ever smile, and everybody's glum, and everybody's leaving, and it's all sad, and the world's coming to an end. I don't know if that was the right portrayal for the elves. I think they're a bit too glum in Peter Jackson's portrayal, but I mean, he makes his choices. He made good choices on the most part. I think the elves could have been a bit more cheerful, to be perfectly honest. Is this Boromir? It doesn't look like Boromir to me. What's happened to Boromir? Where does he hang out now? Have I got this right? That's not Boromir. It was some other kind of guy. Okay. Don't know where Boromir is. Let's see if we can find him. We'll hop down here. Yes, where is Boromir? It's a good question. Of course, the other problem is, of course, that this hobbit here is well through the epic story, so sometimes characters go missing, and you come back to an area and they all go missing because you've passed that point in the story, but they all seem to be here. Everybody's here except Boromir, so where is he? I wonder. Anyway, we're heading back to the last homely house. He'll eventually show up. I'll figure out where he is, and maybe we'll hook up with him before we leave in the next video. But this is part 6 of the video, and the main task here was to just have a quick look around Rivendell, and then we're going to go on with our journey in our next video. By the way, it's probably too late because everyone will have stopped watching this video now, but the my channel is a bit of a mess, I'm afraid. Sorry about that for everyone. I mean, I noticed that I'm now making rambling videos about stuff, really. I mean, I'm probably going to end up talking about things that are nothing to do with Lord of the Rings very soon, because I'll run out of things to say. And I also have a whole load of teaching videos and things on my channel, because that was where I threw things during COVID, when I needed to do teaching from home and stuff like that. But so it's all a bit of a mix-up. Some people have joined the channel because of the teaching videos. Some people joined the channel because of the Lotro videos. Some people joined the channel because I did a bit of theatre video on it and stuff. And there's odd things on my channel, and they're all a bit of a mix. And I understand that some subscribers find these videos not very interesting, but sorry about that. I'll try and make it up to you. But really, these rambles are just rambles. We're just doing a little journey in Middle-earth and having a nice little chat as we go. This guy's calling a horse. There he goes. Hey! Right, just having a little chat as we go. So thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.